Indewo, I am Bu Okwemi Akintunde. Guys, you're all welcome to another historical moment. This week, we shall be taking a look at the Igbo pre-colonial administrative system. So, let's get the ball rolling. The Niger Coast route opened up the contact between the African and the European traders in 1434. This was when the Portuguese first came in contact with the Igbo people, followed by the Dutch and the British. However, during this era, trade, there was more emphasis being laid around on trade as opposed to empire building that was seen in other parts of the world during this time. However, the Igbo trade routes actually sprang, like that is stretched as far as Mecca, Medina, Jeddah on the continent. Yet the blacks, that is the slaves, were sold to these Europeans, that is the European powers, through what we know as the Arrow Confederacy. What's the meaning of Arrow Confederacy? This is a political and economical union that was orchestrated by the Arrow people, that is the Arochukwu, and their influence spread across the eastern part of Nigeria, the lower Middle Belt, and present-day Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea during the 18th and the 19th century. Moving on from there, during the triangular slave trade, that is the transatlantic slave trade, most especially when it comes to the whole era of sugarcane boom, it was noticed that the blacks, that is these slaves that were from African countries, such as the Igbos, they were exchanged, that is they were used indifferently alongside with their counterparts, that is Indians, when it comes to working on farmlands, that is the sugarcane or plantation farms. What was the reason for this? Because the blacks were simply more productive than the Indians, and this was based on one major factor, that is the blacks strength. The Indians could not match us. There was this common adage during this era that one black actually equals to 4 Indians. So moving around from there, the Indians were saying, getting killed, based on they could not like go on longer hours, that is working on all these farmlands. So they left the Spanish crown during this era, that is 1596 to 1604. They left them with no other choice than to the Spanish crown. They made some decrees whereby they prohibited the Indians from working on the farm. But that one is a different case. What baffles me most is this: the harsh conditions that most of these blacks were subjected to could not be heard of. For instance, what would you like to call a situation whereby a black now, that is a slave, working for 20 hours in a day on a farm? What kind of subject, or what would you like to call that? So with this and other harsh conditions, they left us, that is the blacks, the slaves, they left them with no other choice than to resort to all these different types of resistance. We have passive resistance, we have active. What do I mean by passive now? Passive resistance actually means in a case whereby we are recording a suicide case, abortion case, stuff like that, whereby the active actually means in a case whereby society start recording murder case, sabotage case. So that is that about that. Geographically, the Igbo region actually is divided into by two unequal sections, that is the eastern part and the western parts. However, this happens to be one of the largest ethnic groups in Africa, and this is a kind of a tribe that has always employed one of the negotiation techniques, that is mediation, when it comes to settling law related issues in the society. Moving on from there, At the beginning of the British colonial system, that is the 20th century, late Freddie Lord Lugard introduced the easy system known as warrant chiefs. However, surprisingly to most people during this era, particularly me, I myself, the Igbo, they were unperturbed by the old rancorous, the old bra that was happening at the northern region. That is, this was when the Usman Dafodio problem persist. That is the whole issue of jihad war, whereby Islam started taking its roots. That is, the religion started taking its roots in the northern part of Nigeria. But this actually made the Igbo, it gave them the chance to actually imbibe, that is, allowed the religion, that is Christianity, in which the British, the whites, brought to them. Moving on from there, the Igbo system now, in terms of their political or administrative system, they happens to be, that is, the political structures, political parties, organizations, they were based on a quasi-democratic republican system of government. What do I mean by this? This is a kind of a form of governance whereby it's simply a decentralized, and the issue of democracy was given out to people. That is, I have my right, you have your right to contribute to, when it comes to decision makings that pertains to societal development. So it seems like this kind of decentralized system was balanced. However, there were some political positions that were very, very key in terms of upholding these structures, such as we have the Council of Elders, we have family heads, we have the sex grade, and so on and so forth. But this is it. What do I mean by family heads? This happens to be, for instance, in a particular house, the eldest. Moving on from there, in another particular house, they are going to converge, they are going to gather, and these are the set of people that comprises of the Council of Elders. The whole role of Council of Elders is to mediate, is to their own role is to make laws to stabilize the society. However, one thing that was interesting about this tribe is despite all these the Council of Elders influence, that is, in terms of accomplishment, their power, they were never made to people were never made to to regard them as kings, as opposed to for instance the Hausa kind of political structure and the Yoruba monarchical structure. So everyone in the society, the whole things seems to be balanced. Yeah. Now, talking about the sex grade, this sex grade happens to be another political administrative units in the society, that is the Igbo land there, and their own role is just to maintain law. For instance, now they are divided into two: the senior and the junior. The senior role is to when it comes to maintenance of peace, that is to prevent war, while that of the junior sex grade, their own role is to keep the society clean, that is tidied up everywhere, and few others activities. Lastly, guys, we have come to the end of the Igbo political pre-colonial administrative system. I'm looking forward to your contributions, your comments. Like I always say, one tree can never make a forest. I need you guys, and we all need ourselves to make our society a livable and a prosperous society again. Thank you very much. See you next time.